Hey guys, gals, and MBs. Today we're just going to have a little bit of fun with the Korg Multipoly and the hologram electronics microcosm. So yeah, we're going to make a little bit of a lo-fi patch on the Multipoly. You can make this patch on practically any synth that has two envelopes, one that controls the filter and the other one that controls the amplifier. So it should be pretty easy to make, and you have to have a triangle wave. You could do this on a pretty much, like I said, any synth. You could do it on a wavetable synth, a virtual analog, a real analog, but you really want a nice round, really nice sounding triangle wave. Let's just kind of get into it and you'll see what I mean. So let's just go in here. So that's our init patch, right? It's just a sawtooth. It's actually not a bad sounding sawtooth at all. And I'm going to go over here. We're going to change this to a triangle. Sorry if there's a little bit of pulsating on the screen. I tried to get it as good as I possibly could, but because of camera shutter speeds and everything, it's a little bit on the hard side. I did, like I said in one of my videos, I did take the stupid screen protector off of it, and then I noticed from the factory, all of my Korg synths have scratches on the screen and dust underneath the damn plastic. I mean, that's some basic quality control. Maybe they can stop using like dime store plastic. I mean, okay, 99-cent store plastic, but you know, God. So yeah, triangle wave. And we're going to want to go into the amplifier, and we want to, or the amplifier envelope, and then we want to shape it. We want a nice long release. This is going to be a lo-fi harp patch. I should have said that to begin with. One of the things I do like about the Multipoly, I know it's a digital synth, but the triangle wave is probably one of the best sounding triangle waves I've ever heard. It's gorgeous, isn't it? All right, so we want to bring down the sustain all the way, and then we want to have the decay up. Probably around there. Maybe a little less release. Yeah, a little less release for sure. And you could keep it like that. We could just go with that. We don't even need the filter technically. So, yeah. We're going to use the filter though, so what we want to do is we want to bring down the filter so it's very muted, like this. So you barely hear it. And I'm going to use the multi-poly filter, or the mono-poly filter. I recommend this to be a 24 dB per octave if you have that choice, but you can do it with a 12 dB per octave. I mean, go here. You know what? Let's just use the MS-20 filter because that's 12 dB per octave to begin with, and then we'll change the filters. And then what we're going to do is we want to turn up the envelope intensity for the filter modulation. So we get that, see? Not all the way because we already have the filter up a little bit, so. Now go into the filter envelope type, or curve. Want to bring the sustain down again. This goes into negative for sustain, so be aware of that. I was having difficulties with that. Turn up the decay and the release. And we can mess with the intensity a little bit, get it a little brighter. Isn't that gorgeous? And one thing I like to do, you don't have to do this. This goes by whatever tuning you want to do. I like to use a tuning offset, so I use transposition. So go in here. We're going to go into the octave. I'm going to transpose it by 2 semitones. So let's do that. Gorgeous. We go through the filter types to say, hear the difference. Let's go to the mini. quite subtle. Actually, I kind of like that. We can add a little bit of resonance. But it's not necessary. But I think it's nice if you have a really nice sounding filter, especially if you have like a SEM filter. All right, so we have the basic shape ready, and then just you have to do it to taste. We'll go back, and for this time we'll just go ahead and use the MS-20 filter. All right, and that's the basic shape of everything you want. All super simple to do, sounds absolutely gorgeous. We'll make it a little lo-fi sounding by adding a little bit of pitch variance via vibrato by using the pitch LFO. Really easy to do on this synth. So if you turn it way up, there we go, intensity. But we want a barely noticeable, so. And we want a fairly fast speed, but not too fast. And you can do small increments using the program encoder or the value encoder. Isn't that gorgeous? All right, we have the sound. Let's mess with the hologram. So, or the microcosm, I should say. I have my cheat sheet right here. I hope you can see that. So, yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to go through some of the things that I like about it. I know I've done a full thing on the microcosm by itself, but I wanted you to hear what it sounds like with a very simple and very lovely, just sounding, patch like this. And by default, we should always go to the mosaic mode D, which is my personal favorite. But a lot of the modes are awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and turn off the reverb portion of this. Let me get my microphone in a better position so I can get in here and do this. All right, so let's turn that off. Mix is about 50-50. Yeah, we'll just go with what we have here. All right, this one takes a little bit of time to kick in. So that's super gorgeous. And I know it pitch shifts up and it pitch shifts down at the same time, but the description is loop playback at half, normal, double, and quad speed. Sounds range from 1 octave below your input to 2 octaves higher. And I think that's just one of the best things to use this pedal for. I don't think I've ever gotten that sound, or I've gotten close in other plugins and things like that, but never this good on hardware. Even Arteria Fragments, I believe it's Fragments. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I always forget the damn name of that plugin, which is really nice. I can't do this specifically without 2 instances of it, and then it gets messy. And this is just so easy to do. And of course we have feedback, so think of this like a really fancy delay. Of course I had to mess that up. Let's go back into the perform mode. We can listen. The more you give it, obviously, the more the buffer fills up. You can always speed it up. We can go here. And if you have a synth that plays nice with MIDI clock, and I'm looking at you, Sequential, because the TO5 and the Take 5 do not play nice with MIDI clock. When you start and stop it, it has this massive drift. I saw somebody in my other video saying that they were noticing weird MIDI clocking issues too, but I think that's just par for the course with them. But yeah, if you MIDI clock this from a correct source, like an MPC, I've used it from the MPC quite a bit, or from your DAW, this isn't really applicable to this unless you're using the arpeggiator. I haven't tried the clock out on this, but I'm sure it works just fine. That said, this can be MIDI clocked, and it works fabulously when it's MIDI clocked, or you have to go by subdivisions and by time-like factors to get it to do its thing. It's a little complicated. I think people make it to be a little more complicated than it really is, but once you get it going, there's so many good sounds in it. And we're not using any pan spread. I know you see two outputs coming from this going into this, but this is specifically just, I mean, it's a mono patch. So that's what we're getting out of it. So this plays nice with stereo as well, but yeah, we're just going to go by that. The reason I have two going out, because you need a TRS splitter, and it's kind of a pain to go back every time into the menu and change this into mono mode if you really want to use a mono source. Not a big deal if you only use mono sources, but and there's a hidden feature. Well, it's not really hidden, it's right on the face, but it's something a lot of people don't think about on this pedal. This has one of the best sounding reverbs of any pedal. And once you add it in to that beautiful pitch shifted sound you hear in the beginning, it takes it to otherworldly levels. So let's do that. I have yet to get that out of a single plugin. I know there's a lot of people out on the internet that always ask me, is there a plugin that can do it? And then you always get the other group of people saying, hey, you know, plugins can do that. Of course, you know, I'll make fun of those people. But yes, you can do this particular sound with plugins, but it's not particularly easy to pull off either. So like the closest I've gotten was with Arteria Fragments, and then you have to use Valhalla Supermassive on the end of it, because the reverb built into Arteria stuff isn't fantastic. It's not bad. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad. And you definitely can't do it on the effects section on the Multipoly. Well, this has excellent built-in effects. They're very basic. Well, they're not very basic, but you know what I mean. They're not anything like esoteric. They don't have pitch shifters. Well, I think there might be, but nothing like this. Nothing in the feedback loop. No, this has, I think you can do pseudo shimmer in the reverb, but I'm not sure. It doesn't sound good. The reverb, again, sounds okay in this. I mean, it's actually excellent for hardware, or, well, it's software running in a box. And, you know, people always do that to me. They always feel the need to point that out. And I'm like, yes, thank you, genius. Yes, it is a VST in a box, but whatever. I'm getting ahead of that, but yeah, the reverb sounds good on this. I mean, let's just listen to this. Got to turn it on. That's one of the default settings. I think that's part of the mini, what is it? The Mini Moog reverb template. It sounds fine. It's actually really nice. if you use the software editor, you also have access to all the modulation capability. And the modulation actually sounds pretty damn good on it, but I have one of those in here. One sec, let's go. It's right here, this one, Yuki 1. You can hear there's modulation in there, and it's actually quite gorgeous, isn't it? All right, well, that said, it doesn't do anything fantastically awesome like the microcosm does. So I just like to show the waveform that I'm on because it's nice visual. I don't even know why I have this screen like blown up because it's not really that important to the rest of the video, but whatever. So let's go back in here. The sound is like what I would have wanted from a Chase Bliss pedal, like the Mood or something, which the Mood can kind of do this, but not exactly, and it doesn't do it as well, or something like the Therme, but the Therme has a lot of noise because it's analog. It has all that mixed together in something with a beautiful reverb. And you can set the reverb time. I have it set to the very maximum. I always have it set to the ambience mode, so to do that, you just have to hold shift. And I like how they have the sub things. I think it was Mark Johnston. I forget his name. He had a video recently where he was like praising my hologram on having secondary settings on the face of the panel, and then basically, you know, sedating things like Maris and companies like that with their small form factor pedals don't, and it's annoying. And I agree. This is easy to do. So if I hold down shift, and you get beautiful. As you saw there, it showed me exactly what value it was on for the secondary control. And everything, even though it's kind of color-coded, it's also set in a pattern. So from left to right, more on the right, left is less. So if you're colorblind, it's not hard to navigate this pedal, which is great. But yeah, like I said, I had that all the way to the right, which means the reverb time is set to the ambience mode. And then the space knob becomes your mix. And I know this is going to be a long-winded video. I'm just kind of having fun. But what really prompted this was I was working on a song, and it's going to use the Multipoly and the microcosm, and I wanted to kind of share with you my sound design ethos. What to God, I'm just having a time today. Ethos for that. So yeah, one of the most beautiful algorithms in a pedal, period, and it's so easy to get good sounds out of that. Let's go into some of the other settings. I really like Glide. I think it's Glide D. It is. So let's do this. Let's bring down the activity. I think. Okay, that's just the rate. We want it up, but we want to turn the time way down. So here, like this. And shape controls the way it glides. I like to use square in this. Yeah. So let's turn down the feedback a little. Have it up a little high there. Isn't that gorgeous? All right. Let me bring out the cheat sheet. I don't remember what a lot of the modes are because I generally use this in Mosaic and Haze. Those are my favorite, but that doesn't say that any of the other modes aren't great. So the glitch ones are fun. Let's go into ARP. So ARP D. Usually the D ones are my favorite, but ARP D, I think, has bit crushing. It sounds a little cool, but it gets a little over aggressive. Each sample, so C. No. Oh, yes, B. B is fun. So B, what it does is each sample in the arpeggio, arpeggios include various playback speeds resulting in pitch-shifted patterns. So repeats determine how often glitches are triggered, and activity controls the variation of the sample. We'll just keep the activity all the way up. You basically wait for the buffer to fill, it to trigger, and then it does its thing. All right, so we'll go to blocks. Blocks is fun. It basically uses an envelope follower on the input to basically trigger glitches. And we'll just, I think A is my favorite on that. Let's see, blocks. A, rearranges your playing, adds bursts. So yes, that one's fun. Yeah, I like that one. That one's kind of fun. Mostly fun, not super useful for me, but it's still. I'm gonna try and find a use for all these modes in a song. Let's go just to one of my personal favorites, which is Haze. So let's go to Haze D. It's almost always D, like I said. So Haze D. And this is one of those things that turns into this absolutely gorgeous reverb that it's hard to replicate on other pedals or even software. It's probably the most gorgeous sounding shimmer-esque algorithm. I don't want to call it shimmer because it doesn't have that harshness to it. It's very diffused. It's very multi-tap delay-ish versus, your standard. Like, usually when I think shimmer, I think a hall that has pitch shifters in the feedback loops, and I generally don't like them. That's why I like the new cloudburst algorithms in both the Big Sky MX and the cloudburst pedal itself with the ensemble mode. It's like shimmer that doesn't suck. It just sits there, just behind everything. As obviously somebody who does not make religious music and thinks it's awfully tacky, shimmer was kind of overused in that genre, obviously, for reasons. So something like this, which is more ambient. It even, if you listen to that bloom, I'll just stop for a second. Because you have the octave down in that. At least, let me make sure I'm not lying about that, and that does have, I think D does have octave down. Mixture of normal speed and yes, so it has half speed, so it has an octave down in it. And most octave down shimmers sound like crap. Even the pedal that really brought it to the masses, which I still think is the Eventide Space, the octave down shimmer on that is god-awful. It doesn't have enough diffusion or filtering or something to it. It just doesn't sound right. But with that octave down, it sounds very foreboding, very melancholy, and not at all as something you would associate with them thar religious pianer. It's more of your standard ambient. Oh, I'm getting carried away. I'm just sitting here playing, but at least it's lovely, isn't it? Tunnel is one that I haven't really messed with too much. What does Tunnel do? Cylindrical microloops generate hypnotic drones with unique modifiers. Determines depth. So A is sample length compression. Ooh, yeah, let's do that. Let's do A. Oh yeah, it's taking multiple grains and kind of compressing and expanding them, isn't it? Oh yeah, you can hear that. It's time. What's the word? It's time modification algorithm, but it doesn't change the pitch. Time stretching, I'm trying to say. That could be very fun if that is predictable, which it should be. Yeah, it seems like the time here is changing that. Let's tap in a really long time. Okay, so with an ARP, that would probably sound kind of cool. I mean, I'm not tempo synced right now. I guess I could tempo sync this, so let's go. Bat, 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 bat. It's okay. I don't really like it. It's okay. Like I said, let's see if there's anything that does envelope triggered sub-octave drone with filter sweep. So let's go to B. Turning off the ARP. Ooh. There we go. Okay, that one's nice. Let's hear that with the space. Ugh, I hit the wrong note. Damn it. Okay, so that one's kind of nice. All right. I'm going to stop the video pretty soon. We'll go over a few other things. This is very long at this point, I'm sure. I can't see my screen from over here, but I'm looking. So, yeah, Haze, Mosaic, Glide is very fun. Some of the, definitely ARP can be very fun as well. Like I said, it definitely has its uses, and I love playing with it. Strum. Let's try strum. Okay. Repeats the most recent note continuously. Many copies of the most recent note overlap. Cascading chains of recent on set. Let's try C. C in strum. Turn down space. Let's bring the time up so we have a big buffer to mess with. So activity apparently controls the density of that. Oh, I hit it again. Oh, I really like that one. Does strum have anything with pitch shifting? No phasing. Recent, no. Oh, D. It's always D. Oh. That's nice. Oh, I like that I like that as much as Mosaic D so far. Let's add the space. Damn, that's nice. I know this is an extremely simple patch, and this is a very powerful pedal, but mixed together, this is insane. Now you can tell why I love the multipoly so much. It got me to think to almost, like I said, I was definitely on the verge. I'm still not 100% convinced that the Take 5 and TO5 are staying. Mainly because this thing is so much more versatile, and for what I do, it sounds way better than, I shouldn't say way better, but specifically for these muted lo-fi, like just gorgeous plucky sounds, something I can't get out of the TO5 or the Take 5 really easily. I mean, I love that SEM filter, and I still love the Prophet filter, but geez. Plus, one of the features that this has that not many synths on the market, especially any analog synth that I know of right now, at least sub $2,000 analog synth. You can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you can't really shape the envelopes. I know that the OB6 and the Prophet 6 have a shape changing capability for the filter envelope, it was, but nothing like this where you can actually, I'm not going to change it right now, but you can go in and go over to the curves. You can, as you see now, it's a exponential curve. It's not linear, but you can do a custom one where you change the curves of the decay, the release, and the stuff like that. Oh, I actually, even though I hate Behringer and their products are pretty much garbage in my opinion, the DeepMind. Somebody will bring up the DeepMind. Yes, I remember the DeepMind absolutely had a way of changing the envelopes. But is that really an analog synth? I mean, I guess it is. It's DCOs. It's actually, if you're going to get a Behringer synth, the DeepMind you can do a lot worse with. Like out there, it's not a bad synth at all. Other than its noise issue. Which you have to take it apart and tighten the screws that they didn't tighten at the factory. And every single one of them I've had has that sound issue. There's plenty of demos out there where you can hear the sound issue if you turn up the volume. That said, it's not a bad synth once you fix it yourself, something that should have been done at the factory. And the people saying, oh, mine doesn't have that issue, gain up your output on a mixer or something, you will hear a frequency spike at 6 and 12 kilohertz, and it'll drive you fucking insane. I spent months trying to figure out where it was coming from in my signal chain, thinking that it was like something with a ground loop in my house. Nope, just the synth. Tightening up the screws fixed it. I think I have a video still up. It's one of my only Behringer videos I've kept up. Oh man, so while I'm rambling, at least you can hear music. Strums. Yeah, I guess I didn't give Strum enough time. I'm gonna use that. Anyway, yeah, I think I kept that video up, so if you need to go through and fix that specific issue, you can find forum posts about it too, about the 6 and 12 kilohertz whistle whine sound. The people that are saying it's coming from the fan and stuff like that are completely wrong, because you can turn the fan off and it still has the sound. It's a grounding issue. They didn't ground the boards correctly. And by tightening up the screws, it grounds it to the chassis. For the motherboard, I mean. They're not too hard to take apart. The desktop and the keyboard version aren't too hard to disassemble, at least. That's if you don't strip one of their crappy, pot metal screws that they use. God. Alright, well, I guess that's enough noodling around, listening to my thoughts and rants. And yeah, Microcosm is a hell of a lot of fun, especially with a synth with this much timbral diversity. Well, I mean, we're not hearing that much timbral diversity here, we're just hearing a beautiful... And as weird as it sounds, like I said, that triangle wave is one of the most beautiful I've ever heard. The other most beautiful triangle wave I've heard on a synth is also technically digital. I mean, it's a hybrid, and that's the Summit. And that one has a wave shaping capability for it too, so you can make it sound a little different. This is kind of on the verge of almost being a sine wave. I mean, obviously triangle and sine waves can be used interchangeably in some patches. You don't have that many extra harmonics in it. You have a little bit with that peak, so they do filter out without just voluming dropping. But yeah, from that, I think I'm going to stop here. The only other thing I want to bring up again on the microcosm that I love a lot, and Red Panda for this as well, these switches. These are very nice to use with your hands. So just, it's like a little aside. They're very nice and rounded, and they're smooth, and they just work well fine. I think Red Panda is the only other pedal company that I personally use that has switches that are just that nice. I know it's a weird thing to say, but yeah. All right. Yeah, that's the end of my like Sunday video where we talk about synths and effects and how much I actually like the microcosm. And I think with the kind of music I'm doing now, it's kind of it is required for my music type. You know how certain people have certain things that they have to have in their setup? Well, I'm not too worried about the synth itself as long as obviously I have nice sounding waveforms and a good sounding filter, but damn the effects. I definitely have to have the microcosm to do what I do. The ambient crap that I do. Ambient crap. Even the video gamey stuff. That's kind of where I want to try to get the glide algorithm to work in my favor a little better, so I have to tempo sync that. But yeah, we'll do that in a different video. My next video, I hope if everything goes well, will be the steam pipe. It looks like my steam pipe is going to ship on Monday, so that'll be fun. We'll have fun with that, and we'll probably bring in some effects on a later video. I'll have to try the steam pipe through the microcosm. All right, thanks for watching, and if you like this kind of content, give me a thumbs up on this video, and if you haven't subscribed to me already, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.